Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1896A, and today's date is June 18th, 2019, and the title of the episode is Economic Game Theory in Play. Wait for it. Here it comes. So I have a question for you. Are we looking at the start of the next stock market crash? You can see that it has been a long upward run for stocks, but recently the market has started to topple. The big question is, how far will the market fall? And during this time, Noble Gold, they have been getting their clients to buy precious metals as a hedge against their pension funds losing massive chunks of their investments. If you're worried about another market crash, give them a call at 877-646-5347 and make sure you mention X22 Report or click the link below. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the entire economic plan, it is now coming together. And we're getting word that Trump is going to be meeting Xi, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. We're also getting information that the Fed, they will be cutting rates. They will be starting stimulus. And Trump is using the same exact strategy he used with Sessions. Remember, this is all about game theory. This is all about making the mainstream media, deep state, the central bank, think one way when something else is happening. And this is exactly what Trump is doing. And he understands and he knows that he needs to move very, very quickly on all of this. Because right now, the entire economic system, and I'm talking about the central bank economic system. Remember, there's two economies occurring at the same exact time. We have the central bank system, which we've been in for a very long time, and then we have the new economy that Trump is creating. He's going to transition everyone into a new system. If we go back to 1971, what do we have? We had the gold standard. Yes, there was a central bank there, but they prepared in the background, without anyone knowing, a new economy, which was the petrodollar system, a system which was not backed by gold. So at the time, in the 70s, we had two economies. One where the economy was backed by gold, and the other one that was being created in the 60s, leading up into the 70s, one that was based on the petrodollar system. And they transitioned us from the gold standard to the petrodollar system. Trump now is doing the opposite. We have the central bank system, which is loaded with debt, and it's at its end cycle. And Trump and the Patriots, they know this. And we're moving from this debt-driven system to a patriot people system where it's not going to be controlled by a private corporation. It's going to be controlled by the people. And Trump needs to use everything that the central bank, the mainstream media, the deep state has to offer to keep the old system going. He doesn't want it to fail. If it fails, guess what? The entire plan is in trouble. But we don't see this happening. We see that the plan is going exactly the way they wanted it. Now, when we look at some of the indicators from the central bank economy, it is falling apart, and it's rapidly declining very, very quickly. If we look at housing starts, for example, they tumble by 0.9% month on month. Even though mortgage rates are declining right now, because remember, the Fed right now, they are in a holding pattern. They're not raising rates, they're not lowering rates as of yet. And mortgage rates have declined, and a lot of people are refinancing right now, but it hasn't brought new people into the market. And I think what needs to be done here is the rates need to come down a lot more to bring in those individuals who couldn't buy a house into the market so they can buy a house. Now, once again, is this the best time to purchase a house? I don't think so. But Trump needs to lower the rates. He needs to start stimulus. Now, Europe already understands this. Remember, Europe realizes that their economy is completely imploding. Why do you think they didn't raise rates? After the Fed said, listen, we're in a holding pattern, what did Mario Draghi do? He came out and said, listen, we're not going to be raising rates. Maybe we'll raise them in 2020. That's a good idea. And all of a sudden, they're no longer thinking about raising rates. Actually, they're thinking about starting stimulus right now. And Mario Draghi, he announced more stimulus could come. Now, why would Europe The ECB want more stimulus if everything is fantastic. Well, everything isn't fantastic. The entire European economic system is imploding. Actually, the private Western central bank system around the world is imploding. Has nothing to do with tariffs, has nothing to do with whatever they're talking about. That's the smoke screen. What it has to do with is that their system is at its end cycle, and they know this. And they're trying to figure out a way to explain it away because they don't have anything to cover up what is coming. Usually they have an event. But guess what? The Patriots are not allowing them to have their event. Why? Because they're not in control. The central bank controls the deep state. The central bank dictates, listen, we're going to need some type of event, maybe a war or something, to cover up what is coming. And they push their agenda. The Patriots, they're not listening. And Trump tweeted out the following. Mario Draghi just announced more stimulus could come, which immediately dropped the euro against the dollar, making it unfairly easier for them to compete against the USA. They have been getting away with this for years, along with China and others. He continued, European markets rose on comments unfair to US made today by Mario Draghi. Now, remember, the ECB did an about-face when the Fed said, listen, we're putting rate hikes on hold. They listened and they saw that they're not, the Fed, the central bankers, the deep state, they weren't ready to collapse the system. They didn't have an event. So the ECB backed off. And now they're a little worried. What are we going to do? Well, it's very simple. Remember, this is not an open free market. This is not something where you can graph out what's going to happen because it's all manipulated. They know if they start stimulus and they lower rates, they know they can keep this going. They can make it look like the economy is doing very well. They've done it since 2008. That's why they had the 2008 crash, because they knew if they weren't able to create stimulus and control everything, the whole thing would implode, and they weren't ready for that just yet. And now we see that the ECB is looking to push stimulus. And guess what? The United States is going to push stimulus. China is pushing stimulus. Because without it, the system implodes. The central bankers know this. Now, what's very interesting is that Trump, he's already in contact with Xi Jinping. And we know that Xi was meeting with Kim Jong-un, and this is the first time a Chinese president met with a North Korean leader in like 14 years. And this was the signal that it looked like Xi was going to meet with Trump. Now, Trump tweeted out the following. Had a very good telephone conversation with President Xi of China. We will be having an extended meeting next week at the G20 in Japan. Our respective teams will begin talks prior to our meeting, which means Trump has control of the situation. He doesn't care how long it takes, but he knows eventually China is going to go along with what he wants them to do. And I believe the framework of the deals have already been worked out. And I believe what we're coming up to right now is the announcement that there's a deal and these tariffs will start to disappear. What happens when the tariffs disappear? Well, the central bankers, they lose their narrative. They lose their narrative of where they're saying that, oh, because of the tariffs and manufacturing and what China and the United States are doing, that's why the economy is imploding. Once this disappears and we have this incredible agreement, the central bank is completely exposed. Now, the mainstream media is out there, and they're pushing the story that the White House reportedly explored legality of demoting Fed Chair Powell. Now, this is very interesting. Remember, Trump is always going to push the opposite of what is really going on. He's going to hit Powell saying, I don't like him, he doesn't do what I want him to do, and he does this on purpose. Think about Sessions. Didn't he go off on Sessions like every minute? But Sessions was doing he was doing all the work behind the scenes. The same thing with Powell. He's doing everything behind the scenes. But out in front, Trump needs to make it look like that he doesn't like Powell. Maybe he will remove him, but he needs the mainstream media, the deep state, and everyone to think that he hates Powell. He wants him removed. Because this way it looks like the Fed is independent. It looks like the Fed is doing things without Trump telling them what to do. And Trump is going to continue with this until the very end. And what do you think the Fed is going to do? The Fed, they're going to be cutting rates. The Fed is going to be starting stimulus. Now, they're going to meet this Wednesday. Does it mean it's going to happen Wednesday? I think it should. I think time is ticking down here. I think Trump and the Patriots realize they don't have that much time. And I do believe the Fed should go ahead and lower the interest rates and later this year start stimulus. Now, does this mean it's going to happen at this time? No, but eventually what will happen, it will happen before the end of this year. Now, with Trump and these stories coming out about how he wanted to get rid of Powell, looking ways to demote him and things like that, to me, the strategy here is that he's pushing this out so everyone understands that he doesn't like Powell. Powell doesn't do what he wants. Powell is doing the opposite of what I want, which kind of tells me that the Fed might cut the rates maybe by a little bit this Wednesday. Will they start stimulus? Probably not. But we'll have to see how this plays out. Even if they do or they don't, they're eventually going to cut rates because Trump has the magic wand. Trump is controlling all of this. And I'm not just saying Trump himself. I'm talking about all the individuals that he's working with and the Patriots. They're all working together on this. And we know eventually stimulus will start because, look, he's pointing out that China is using stimulus. The ECB is saying that stimulus is coming. And why wouldn't the United States use stimulus? Why wouldn't the United States cut rates? And once Trump does this, even though the mainstream media is out there saying that it's not going to help, we're going to head into a recession. Yes, in the background, we're already in a recession. In the background, forget all the statistical information. Remember, there's two economies happening right now. We have the central bank economy, which is completely dead in the water. Trump is using their tools against them to make it look like everything is fine. And this way, the mainstream media can't really say anything. Actually, his opponents really can't say anything. And he can push his agenda forward coming up to the 2020 elections. That's what this is all about. To get reelected in the 2020 elections, he controls the narrative of the economy. And once you have that control, I mean, what is Biden? What is Warren? What is anyone else going to say? I'm going to make the economy look better. I'm going to make the stock market go up another 5,000 points. I'm going to make unemployment go down to 2%? I mean, really, what are they going to say at that point? Not much. I mean, what else are they going to say? I'm going to make a better deal with China? No, it's already done. He has them on the economy. They can't even use it. And this was part of the strategy. Remember, all of this was planned a long time ago. And this is going to help Trump and the Patriots go after the central bank once all is said and done. You're watching an economic game theory play out. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.